Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Marvel just did probably the weirdest thing that they've ever done with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine character. What is going on? They literally just posted a continuous loop of Hugh Jackman in his full Wolverine suit in full makeup with the sleeves still on, just breathing heavily and growling for almost 9 hours and doing a couple big comic book poses. This is probably one of the reasons why they didn't include him during the Avengers Doomsday Chair Watch trailer. Like, they were planning on doing this crazy stuff with his version of Wolverine separately, and they didn't want people talking more about this than they did about the other classic X-Men coming back during Avengers Doomsday. Kevin Feige was pretty open about that too, that Avengers Doomsday would involve those classic X-Men working with the MCU heroes, along with the Thunderbolts, the Fantastic Four, some other mutants like Namor that's featured during that against Doctor Doom. So Marvel does have a lot of big plans for Hugh Jackman's Wolverine in the future. They are going to make him do this until he's 90, like Deadpool will wind up being a prophet. There's a lot of X-Men related stuff happening in the next several years, not just Hugh Jackman Wolverine stuff, other versions of Wolverine, just in general the mutant era of the MCU coming up. But there were a couple other reasons why they didn't feature his character during Avengers Doomsday's Chair Watch video, or Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, or a lot of the other characters that you also saw during Deadpool and Wolverine. But for instance, they did feature Channing Tatum's Gambit, so it wasn't like they were leaving out everybody from Deadpool and Wolverine. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. I will also too probably be doing this until I'm 90, talking about Wolverine until I'm 90. Cannot wait to tell my great-grandkids about this era of Marvel and how crazy it wound up getting. So if you don't know what's going on, why people are suddenly talking a lot about Hugh Jackman's Wolverine again, why is he doing all these crazy comic book poses, he's actually done this before. He did this during the Fox Marvel era back in the day, basically replicating this comic book cover in his classic black suit. When they brought him back for Deadpool and Wolverine, he started doing that again, like doing more comic book accurate poses, just basically playing into the comics even more. They did that a lot during the movie itself. Like, the movie itself plays on a lot of iconic matchups, particularly Hulk versus Wolverine. You also had that Age of Apocalypse version of Wolverine. You had the Old Man Logan version of Wolverine.
Finally, after 24 years wearing the yellow suit, wandering around set like Admiral Banana.
There were going to be several others that wound up hitting the cutting room floor, because you could have just gone on for the entire movie just doing alternate versions of Wolverine. Marvel just released that Avengers Doomsday trailer with Chair Watch to show you that they were getting ready to start filming the movie. They had literally started filming when they released that. The actual filming didn't start till a little bit later, but you're starting to see footage of sets from the movie, and they are actually filming with actors. Like, actors are literally on set filming scenes. Robert Downey Jr. just had his 60th birthday in real life and celebrated on set of the movie. He sent out a bunch of invitations that were Doctor Doom themed. This isn't going to be what his Doctor Doom looks like in the movie. These are just meant to be his birthday invitations that he sent out. Like, Marvel knew that he was doing this and that he wasn't spoiling the movie, which is why they let him do this. But this is probably what his hair is going to look like. Like, he will have a much longer hairdo that looks way more silver and gray than it did during the previous Marvel movies. But because Kevin Feige is rolling so hard on those classic X-Men during Avengers Doomsday, and they're such a big part of the movie, in Wolverine, Hugh Jackman's version was such a foundational character for those classic Fox movies, a lot of you asking, how are they going to address Wolverine during Avengers Doomsday if they're going to have a big X-Men team and Wolverine isn't there all the time? What are they going to do? They're just going to say that he's off somewhere else? How are they going to address Hugh Jackman's new version of Wolverine from a completely different universe with a dead X-Men team? You remember that his version, who is now in the main X-Men universe, is kind of a duplicate. Like, there are kind of two versions of Wolverine in that universe, because they explained during the events of the Logan movie, which took place in the future, that the Logan movie was basically just the future of the original X-Men universe. Deadpool and Wolverine took place in the present day of the mid-2020s of that universe, meaning that that entire X-Men team, like Wolverine's original X-Men team, was all still alive and well. X-23 had not been born yet. Cut to the end of the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, now you have two versions of Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, in that universe, and an adult, or like a slightly older version of X-23, who's in her early 20s. How are they going to deal with that during Avengers Doomsday?
Thank you, Kevin Feige.
Love you, Kevin Feige. Thank you, MCU.
Well, apparently, Deadpool and Wolverine weren't originally meant to be really big characters during the original Kang Dynasty version of Avengers 5. So you have to remember that their plans were very, very different a couple years ago. Deadpool and Wolverine, for example, were always going to be in one of the upcoming Avengers movies. It's just their plan for what they were going to do with them were very, very different before Deadpool and Wolverine and before they changed Kang Dynasty to Avengers Doomsday. Long before Marvel fired Jonathan Majors and got rid of the Kang character, just kind of pushed him off to the side, pretended like he doesn't exist anymore, pivoted to Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom, called it Avengers Doomsday, brought the Russos back, completely changed their plan for the plot of that movie and for a little bit of Secret Wars. Marvel's original plan was to just wait for Avengers Secret Wars to bring Deadpool and Wolverine crossing over with the MCU in a really big way. Even though there have been countless changes, I'm sure there's going to be videos about this for the next 10 years about what they were originally going to do, the deleted scenes, the original stories, all the alternate versions of the movie. Marvel always wanted to end the multiverse saga with an Avengers Secret Wars movie, making it sort of an X-Men Endgame movie, like Avengers Endgame for all those classic Fox Marvel characters that never really got their own version of an Avengers Endgame, like an actual ending for their characters that felt like a real ending. We do not talk about X-Men Dark Phoenix. Like, first rule of Fox Marvel era is that you don't talk about Dark Phoenix. Just pretend like that movie doesn't exist. Hugh Jackman talked about this a long time ago, about how there was a plan to eventually cross over all these different MCU characters with the Fox Marvel characters, with the Sony Marvel characters. But at the time that he was talking about this is back in the early 2010s when the second Wolverine movie was coming out. He was doing press for that, saying that he had a guy, quote unquote, at the studios who was telling him that they were going to work this out eventually, but it was really hard because all the lawyers, the legalese, lawyers basically ruining everything. That guy that he was talking about, like his dude, was Kevin Feige. You remember Kevin Feige earned his stripes like he was a baby on the set of the original Bryan Singer X-Men 2000 movie. He was like an associate producer on that. At the time, he wasn't powerful enough to have an actual say in what they were doing with the actual movies. That didn't come till much, much later, but this was long before the birth of the actual MCU.
Look at those jammies. That only took 20 years.
One of Kevin Feige's big things is paying off classic moments that he wanted to do a long, long time ago, but couldn't for legal reasons, mostly like contracts, just studios, politics, things just getting in the way of good ideas. One of those ideas was crossing over Hugh Jackman's Wolverine with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man during the original Tobey Maguire era of Spider-Man movies in the early 2000s. At the time they were making the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie, like right before they'd actually started filming it, somehow by a miracle, the lawyers had worked out a deal for them to cross over Hugh Jackman into Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man movie. He was going to have a big cameo scene. He was going to be wearing his black Wolverine suit in New York City. They never explained why he was walking around in the city in his Wolverine costume. Just for some reason, he happened to be there in proximity along with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man in an actual scene. Remember, this is back when they were filming the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie, so on the day they were going to film that scene, Hugh Jackman was ready to go, but they couldn't get the zippers on his Wolverine suit to actually work. Now remember, these are the original black suits that he wore during that first X-Men movie. And for whatever reason, the people that were working on the movie, the producers, just decided to cancel the crossover scene and didn't do it because they didn't want to do it if he wasn't going to be in that black Wolverine suit. I don't know why, like it would have been totally fine if he wasn't in the suit, but at the time, Kevin Feige was also on the set of that original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie. He didn't have a say in things, like I said, same deal that he did with the X-Men 2000 movie, just did not have enough power to actually control what they were doing with the movies at the time. But he saw it all go down and was also, like all of us, saying, wouldn't it have been cool if you could have seen Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man cross over with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine? Now he has all the power in the world to bend time and space and make that crossover happen. So when it came time to do Secret Wars, that was one of the big ideas. When Deadpool and Wolverine came along and did absolute gangbusters at the box office, highest earning rated R movie ever of all time, Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool makes all the jokes about making Hugh Jackman and himself do this until they're 90. Marvel, Disney, going to make them do this until they're 90, especially since it earned so much money.
The plans for Wolverine and Deadpool will always be where can we get them and how quickly and how much.
After the movie came out, Kevin Feige did say their plan was to get the two of them in as many things as fast as possible, which also included bumping them up to Avengers Doomsday, which originally they weren't really going to be a big part of. What it sounds like they're doing now that's different is they'll just get a small moment on screen in the movie that they would not have gotten before, but for the most part, saving their characters again for Avengers Secret Wars. All because there's so much stuff going into both of the movies, and like Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, they're splitting both the casts of the movies, where most of the cast will be different for each movie, with only a couple characters surviving Doomsday and making it to Secret Wars. Like the body count, all those chairs, body count will be crazy. RIP most of these people. Currently, their plans for Secret Wars are closer to Jonathan Hickman's 2010s version of Secret Wars, where at the end of that movie they use it for more of a soft reboot point in the live-action MCU movies, clean up their continuity, just help make things simpler going forward, especially for new audiences who are jumping on, like seeing Marvel movies for the first time after Secret Wars. Kevin Feige has already confirmed that Marvel Phase 7 is basically like the mutant era of the MCU. Now, it's not just X-Men stuff, but they're just focusing more on the mutants of it all, like the brand new IP and characters that they just got access to through the Fox Disney deal. There are currently 2 other untitled movies during 2027, one in July right after Avengers Secret Wars, and then one in November. One of those movies is probably going to be their brand new X-Men movie with the new recast version of the team. Currently, their plan after Secret Wars is to do a brand new X-Men franchise inside the MCU with new actors for the most part. Couple legacy actors will continue to come back. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine supposed to stay on for a little bit longer, but he will not be the main version of Wolverine forever until he's 90, even though they'll make jokes about that until he's 90. And what Marvel is doing is basically pivoting from, say, like focusing mostly on Avengers characters to the X-Men team as sort of its own franchise, like you think of the Avengers movies as its own franchise. While that's going on the next 10, 15 years, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine will just cycle into a series of probably smaller cameos, small appearances, the way that Ryan Reynolds has talked about doing more Deadpool after Secret Wars, where he will continue as Deadpool, he will show up in some of those X-Men movies, but he has no plans to make an actual Deadpool 4 solo movie for a very long time. And even though there has been talk about them doing Deadpool and Wolverine 2, which would be technically that next Deadpool solo movie. If Marvel legit winds up making that movie, it's probably going to be at least another 4, 5 plus years before that happens, like a good long while. You will have seen at least 2 more solo X-Men movies with a brand new version of the team before that happens. And when it comes to X-23, I do think that they're going to try and bring her back as much as possible in these upcoming X-Men movies, but I don't think that she will replace Hugh Jackman's Wolverine as the only main version of Wolverine in the MCU. Like, eventually, you will see a Logan show up with a younger version of an actor playing the character. But everyone, post all your reactions in the comments below. What do you think about these weird alternate types of promos they're doing for Avengers Doomsday, like Hugh Jackman heavy breathing? Really weird promo to release for an upcoming Avengers movie, but does feel like a good play given that all the Deadpool weird promos seems like they paid off dividends, and a lot of them didn't have anything to do with the actual events of the movies that he was promoting. We will see how crazy Marvel lets the Russos get when it comes to Secret Wars, because there's some really crazy comic book twists they could pay off. I am totally down with Marvel doing more weird stuff when it comes to them promoting Avengers Doomsday. Sometimes the weird trailers are even better than actual trailers. Real big reminder though, my Daredevil Episode 8 video will post Wednesday just like normal. Punisher is supposed to be coming back. The last 2 episodes of the season are supposed to be peak. Hopefully they wind up landing the plane, get us really hyped for season 2. Everybody click here for that episode 8 video. I'll update the link as soon as I post it, and click here for my Avengers Doomsday trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.